This is DeerTech TV. Welcome to DeerTech TV. Today we are peering through the lens of one of the most technologically advanced rifle scopes on the market, the Burris Eliminator 5. And then Brad Rux hits the deer woods with his son Tinsay, who has a healthy appetite for hunting snacks and big bucks. But first, we'll be walking back in time to explore the beginnings and evolution of Thorogood boots with longtime employee Richard Martins.
Hi, welcome to DeerTech TV. I'm Brad Rux. I'm in Merrill, Wisconsin, visiting the Thorogood plant. A lot of you guys have never heard of Thorogood, but this company has been around forever. You will not believe the history that they have in making boots.
My name is Richard Martins. I'm the Global International Sales Manager for Weinberger Shoe Company. And if you were a pipe fitter, an iron worker, electrician in the trades, you were familiar with Thorogood. The history of the company as we know it based on the information that we've been able to research is that Albert H. Weinberger and his partner Joseph Pfeiffer migrated into Milwaukee, Wisconsin back in 1892. That's where they took the craft that Albert H.'s father taught him on how to cobble footwear. So they started cobbling footwear, making footwear in Milwaukee in the old 3rd Ward district of Milwaukee. They had 2 brownstone buildings. And initially they were just making footwear for people in the Milwaukee area. And along somewhere on in the early 1900s, they decided that what they were doing a lot of was making logging boots. So they became really a logger, or what they considered at the time a job-fitted jobber shop. So they would make boots for people with specific tasks. If you worked in the logging industry, if you worked in the shipping industry, if you were a concrete worker or a bridge builder, you would go to Weinberger and they would make you a pair of shoes. They would hand make shoes for individuals. And eventually their business got so big and got built up that they decided to expand a little bit. And during that time, in the northern part of central Wisconsin here where we sit today in the 30s, the logging industry was dying off. There was plenty of workers up here, but they had logged all the white pine and floated it down the river. So the city fathers from both Merrill and Marshfield at that time decided to attend a trade show back in Milwaukee back in the mid-1930s. And during that time, Albert H. approached them and they got together and decided that if Albert H. would bring his equipment up to the Merrill and Marshfield area, there was plenty of workers here. So the city fathers agreed, basically on a handshake, that they would give them the land in the building that we sit in today here in Merrill and the land in the building in Marshfield for 99 years for $1, as long as he brought the equipment and taught the people of central Wisconsin how to cobble footwear. So he did. So the Marshfield facility was opened in 1935, and it's still in the same building today. And then the building we're in today here in Merrill was opened in 1936. Back in the 1920s through 1940s, we had 5 warehouses. We were the single largest shoe manufacturer for 22 years. Now, ironically, we're the Weinberger Shoe Company, but we trade under the name Thorogood. And Thorogood, we first see that in our publications about 1916 and 1917. And what we can determine from that is that back in the time, you know, we've kind of come up with this, it's thoroughly good footwear. It really has no other meaning than, to us, is thoroughly good footwear. We made footwear for Cabela's, we made footwear for Husqvarna, we made footwear for the local farm and fleet farm stores in the Midwest under their brands. So we didn't make anything under our brand until probably the mid-1980s. Then Thorogood started to kind of circle the wagons, and by the mid-1990s, it got a little bit more prominence. But we made many, many shoes for people under their brand. We were a job shop. Well, that's how Albert H. started. We were a job shop. If you came to me and said, hey, Richard, I need 120 pair of this for a specific customer, and we put your brand on it, we did that. We did that. We do nothing but footwear. We've always done shoes. That's everything that Thorogood has ever done. We don't do clothing, we don't do workwear, we focus on one thing. And we build job-fitted footwear. So if you're a public safety officer, if you're an outdoor hunter, if you're a bridge builder, again today, all we do is footwear. And we're still here today.
Don't go away. Coming up next, Brad Rux takes an in-depth look at the all-new XBolt from Browning Firearms. Stay tuned. Welcome to DeerTech TV. With the new Browning Firearms XBolt, There's only a beautiful Cerakote finish. No sugarcoating necessary. What you see is what you get. Browning is one of the oldest and most trusted quality rifle makers in the world. And you know what's changed about that over the years? Absolutely nothing.
Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the firearm we got to use last fall. And it was the Browning firearms, and it was the Hell's Canyon Speed Edition. It is an awesome, awesome rifle. When you guys are looking for a caliber for whitetails, you got to really think about where you're using it. So one, think about where you're hunting. If you're in a canopy of woods, you know, I kind of like a bigger bullet just in case you hit any kind of brush, you have a little bit more power. You know, if you're shooting out in distances, you want something with a lighter bullet that shoots really flat so you don't have to worry about that drop, less wind drag. If you're carrying the firearm a long ways, you know, if you put a wood stock on this, it's pretty, right? A lot of people love the look of wood, but it's going to be heavier. So I like the synthetic stocks. Plus, I beat the snot out of my rifle, so I don't have to worry about it scratching. This one, I don't have to worry about it rusting. You know, that's another consideration. How much care are you going to put in your gun? I would never buy a wood stock gun for my kids because they just beat it up. I mean, they don't appreciate what the value of a good rifle, and that's a lot of other hunters are in the same boat. A few things that I really liked about it. One is it's super lightweight. Two, it looks cool. It has that cool factor. It has what they call a burnt bronze finish, which I've never seen before. They actually carried that color all the way into the stock. But it's got a fluted barrel, so it's extremely lightweight. It's got a muzzle brake on it, which is great if you're dealing with kids with recoil or even as adults with recoil. Let's face it, who likes it? So out of the box, this thing was extremely accurate. I mounted the scope myself. If you're familiar with the XBolt, a normal rifle has the bases are literally just 2 screws. This one has 4, so it uses the X technology. And what that does is it makes it extremely stable and it's easy to mount your scope. So I mounted the scope literally out of the box. It took me probably 5 shots. Set it in at 25 yards. Within 5 shots at 100 yards, I had a dime-sized group. We literally took this gun on a hunt 4 days later after that on Axis, shot a couple of beautiful Axis bucks. The other thing this gun has, and I didn't realize it until looking up on it, is the butt plate is extremely slick, so it doesn't get caught on your clothing when you're pulling it up or sliding it down. But inside of there is what they call like an infused technology. And what it does is when you pull the trigger, it actually pushes the gun a little bit away from your cheek so you don't feel, even if it would recoil, you don't feel it. 2 features that I really want to point out on this rifle, because a lot of bolt actions, to really be able to unload the firearm, it has to be off safe. This one doesn't. It literally comes with, you can have it on safe, it's got a button above the bolt, and all you gotta do is push it on, and you do it. The other thing, while I'm gonna mention it, it's a short action, so literally the bolt comes up, it's only like a 60-degree angle, so you don't have as much play. And what that does for you is it allows you to chamber around much, much quicker. If you don't believe it, once you go back to a long bolt versus a short bolt, there's a huge, huge difference. They've been doing this for 10 years. Their products are just getting better and better.
You're watching DeerTech TV. You may know the name Burris for their impressive range-finding bow sights or their value binoculars. But out of all the quality products they produce, this one takes the cake. The all-new Eliminator 5 laser scope eliminates your need for a separate rangefinder or even wasting time on doing manual wind calculations. And all at the touch of a button. Here's Brad Rux with more.
Welcome to DeerTech. Today I want to take a look at optics, and really I want to make you guys a better hunter. You know, most of us have great rifles. So when you have a rifle, what is the most common mistake? Well, it's figuring out that distance to the animal. You know, some of us are really good, some of us forget your rangefinder. I mean, it happens to all of us. How do you compensate for that? You know, Check out the Burris Eliminator 5. Burris has been one of the leaders in the laser range-finding scopes. They've been around for over 10 years on just doing the range-finding ability scopes. It has a ballistics calculator right in it. It's 5 to 20 power, so you can reach out there and touch it. The beauty of this scope versus a traditional type of scope is, I'm gonna dial this in. I'm gonna get my ballistics calculated in this scope. It's gonna range, all I have to do is touch a button. It's going to range all the way out to 2,000 yards. I'm not that good of a shot, so even if it is 2,000 yards, I'm not going to be able to shoot it. But if it's 500 or 600 yards, when I hit that button, it's going to put that dot exactly where I have to aim. So it's kind of idiot-proof, and that's what I need, to be honest with you. Check it out. You know, this thing is just loaded with technology. A lot of companies are getting into the range-finding abilities, but when you're looking at the leader, go with somebody that has proven success. They've been doing this for 10 years. Their products are just getting better and better. Check out the new Burris Eliminator and see what it'll do.
Coming up next, we're joining Brad and son Tinsay after they've spent most of the season not quite finding the right buck for young Tinsay yet. Will their luck change? Well, we're airing it on TV, so the answer is probably yes. Stay tuned. This segment of DeerTech TV is brought to you by Outdoor Edge. There's never a dull moment with their razor-sharp replaceable blade knives. When Brad isn't in the studio reviewing the latest gadgets and gear, he spends his time with his wife and 5 children. This year, Brad decided to try and film his youngest son, Tinsay, during what proved to be a very long deer season. Let's see how it went.
I absolutely love hunting with my kids during the bow season, and it's one of my passions. So, you know, we manage a pretty good-sized farm. It's almost 300 acres in total. We have food plots, we got box blinds in all the right spots, and it is just a joy to hunt with my kids, especially my younger one. Normally we tag out early. We have some early season food plots, especially opening day, that are just spectacular, and this year was no different. Only he was picky. I mean, literally, he was letting some bucks go that normally we would shoot. One was a beautiful 3-year-old. And it was kind of funny because at the end of the hunt that night they're sparring out there, and he looked at me and he goes, "Dad, I think we made a mistake." And I corrected him. I was like, "We didn't make a mistake. I told you that one was a shooter. You let him go." And we hunted our butts off for the rest of the season. I want to say it was November 7th. Did I have high hopes for the night? No, but it's during the rut, anything can happen, right? Probably half an hour before dark, out he pops out, he's following a doe. He just stopped and he just started eating. I mean, he just camped out, and once in a while he'd look at the does, so I still thought there was a chance. And probably with under 2 minutes of light, he snaps up his head and starts going the opposite way that I expected. So now we have to rapidly try to change. You know, I was running the camera before that, and I said, screw the camera, I'm turning into dad mode. Because basically when you have a mature deer, you have 2 choices in this situation. You try to harvest it and just forget about running camera because I'm using an unexperienced hunter, or I try to get the footage and probably the deer escapes. Right there. He shoots it with a crossbow. I thought I heard a loud crack, and I'm giving him knuckles, and we're both all excited because it's a great mature deer. So now we're gonna wait till it's pitch black because I wanted to make sure 2 things. 1, that if he did miss, I didn't want to spook that deer. 2, if we did hit it, you know, I wanted to make sure it was far enough away so that we could track. So I got down, and Tin's still in the box blind, and I go right where he shot the deer, and I hit it with a flashlight, and literally there's just a wall of blood. Stay in the blood, Tin. That's where I heard him, somewhere up there. That's where I heard him crack. Keep going. Stay right on his blood. Where'd he go? What you got there, Fred? Oh, he's a beauty, Tin. Give me something. What do you think?
Nice.
That's all you can say is nice? Oh, he's got good mass too. Well, I don't know what you guys could see or didn't see, but we had great footage of him coming in. But Tin was kind of hogging the whole window, and I was more worried with a 13-year-old trying to stop the deer in a spot where he could shoot it than really film it. So I really don't know if I got the shot, the kill shot in there or not, but proof is in the pudding here, and he put on a show. He came out on that pond bank, running does up and down, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he stopped, he worked a scrape before he came in. I don't even recognize this deer, Tin. Sweet, congrats, bud.
Yes.
Way to go.
Thanks.
Give me an X. Now we just got to get him out of here. Woo. The next morning we load the buck up in the Luma because we want to show some of our friends and family members. Because that's a special moment. As a youth, you know, I remember some of my most fond memories were sharing our harvest with family members. And, you know, we went to my sister's house, went to several other houses to show off the deer. And the rest is history. I mean, a great buck, 4-year-old, what more could you expect? I wish I would have got footage, but what I got is the best you're gonna get this year. Hopefully, you know, 2021 here, I'll do a better job. I'll turn into a cameraman rather than a dad.
That's okay, Brad. Being a dad's not so bad. Well, that's all for this week, everybody. Be sure to tune in next week to DeerTech TV.